You on or off? Nope. You're talking about coming down.
I was looking around for my microphone. Yeah. I swear, I went through a battery every meeting. There we got 4:30. We'll call the meeting to order. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And please join us in a moment of silence. Thank you. I'm going to start off with round one of citizen concerns. Anybody to be heard that is not anything already on the agenda? All right, seeing none, we're going to move on to approval of the agenda. I'll move that.
Second.
All right, motion by Raddick, second by DeWitt. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
So that passes 4-0. Moving on to the consent agenda. Items 3 through 7 constitute a consent agenda of routine action items to be considered by one motion. Items pass unanimously unless a separate vote is requested by a board member. Item 3, approval of the minutes of the December 6, 2022 meeting. Item 4, approval of claims. Item 5, from County Treasurer, approve refund request for overpayment of taxes for parcel 8847053833017 in the amount of $11. And just that kind of like reiterates how, you know, anytime you talk about budgets, $11 does obviously matter to people if it's getting refunded, so. Item 6A of Board Administration, approval of resolution thanking and commending Jeanette Ford for years of service. 6B, approval of resolution thanking and commending Darren Fay for years of service. Item C is approval of resolution thanking and commending Don Snyder for years of service. Item 7 from Human Resources, approval of memorandum of personnel transactions. That ends the consent agenda. I'll move it.
Second.
Motion by Raddick, second by DeWitt. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That passes 4-0. Moving on to item 8, which is the discussion of the county involvement in the rural multi-city inspector, and thanks, Jim, for coming out. We did get our correspondence from the attorney's office, and says that basically our involvement in that would not be legal necessarily because of the, you know, taxing body of the county paying for something done in cities that have their own taxing authority. So the county will not be participating in it because it's not within our taxable jurisdiction, or as far as it's not within our budget for our levy, if that makes sense. If you want to say anything on it, sure.
Could I get a copy of that?
Sure.
From Mr. Widman? Is there anything you guys can do for us?
That's a good question, but I don't know how to answer.
We have everything sort of set up. We have a contract agreement. We have a 2080 agreement that I'm pretty sure most towns would agree with. We have everything to go, ready to go. Would Woodbury County take over this responsibility?
I don't see the county taking it over myself.
And the reason?
As far as a priority of the county and the budget that we put forward,
I went ahead and got a letter from Dan Priestley a while back. And it says on there, Dan Priestley, zoning coordinator, Woodbury County Community and Economic Development. Okay, so we don't have economic development. Maybe this is a way you guys could help us.
you know, if we were to hire, I think it would be to hire an economic development coordinator again, or we've discussed other positions that we need within the county. That, you know, if we're gonna tax for it, we're gonna wanna see the employee working in here on things that we wanna see, so.
Okay, I know one of the things that the Board of Supervisors did was a great move, was to go ahead and move the, what do you call it, the maintenance office out in the rural area. And some people in Cushing had to drive to Sioux City and go up to, what, 6th floor and visit this person, where now he's in the rural area. We seem somewhat abandoned out there, okay? I've talked to all of you. I went ahead and invited you out to Mobile. I drove you around, I showed you things that we're doing, some of our projects we're looking forward to, some of our problems, okay? Have any of you gone to Pearson or Cushing and driven around with their mayor? Okay, you have? Okay, good, that's good. So we feel like we're just sort of out there, you know, just sort of abandoned a little bit. You said you can help us financially as far as startup money. You said you had no desire to go ahead now and take on the responsibility of a community inspector. We would like to have representation in the rural area. I know Rocky now is moving on to a bigger and better situation, and his position to be open. We'd like to see somebody from the rural area, somebody that, you know, has been on the back roads, who's driven a truck, tractor, pushed cows, stuff like this, you know. I mentioned the last time I was here, the last person I know from the rural area was Welty from Danbury. And he was down there for a number of years, and then towards the end, he got a little older, a little bit closer, so he moved to Sergeant Bluff. But he was down in Danbury for years and years. My point being, okay, and then the other one now was a few years back, Cal Tire. And he ran hard. He spent a lot of money, did a lot of advertisement on TV, on radio and stuff, ran hard. But, okay, Woodbury County has 105,941 residents, according to 2020 census. Sioux City has 85,797, and Sergeant Bluff, which is, you know, part of Sioux City, is another 5,015. Together now, that's 90,812 people. Okay, you divide that from 105,000, and so on and so forth. There's 15,129 people in the rural area. Okay, we'd like to feel like we're being represented. So you have an opportunity to do something about that coming up. So again, now somebody we can talk to. If you do get a rural economic development person, we'd like to see this person in the rural area also, as same as your maintenance person, because rather than driving to see Dave, coming to the courthouse here and going up to 6th floor, you know, somebody in the rural area, somebody more central located. So I'm disappointed that you can't help us. It's documented in your notes now, or your minutes, and then you're going to get me a copy of that coming back.
Sure.
So, okay. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. You got your email open up? You want to just forward it, or? Thank you. All right, so moving on, item 9, secondary roads. Ben Kusler, approved plans for project number parent 147.
Afternoon, Ben Kusler, project engineer, Woodbury County. Any questions on this project?
I'll just go ahead and give the
It's a 130-foot slab bridge east of Pearson on D12. Scheduled for a March letting. Expect the project to come in somewhere around $750,000, depending on the contractor's appetite. And it is a narrow bridge. It is functionally obsolete, and we've been trying to get this bridge let for a number of months, and finally had a chance to move it back in with a BR funding, which is federal aid, 100% paid for.
So out of curiosity, say this bid came in $1 million. Would you say this bid came in over budget or over the estimate?
Over the estimate.
Thank you. I just, there's a lot of language used in, the county and media, and has nothing to do with you or your department,
Sure.
but you're an expert on something like this. When something comes in over the estimate, it's called over the estimate, and then you budget for it, correct?
Well, the budget is actually a federal agreement with Iowa DOT and the federal government to do this project at the best estimated cost when it's funded. And that was a few years ago. So they understand about economics and prices go up. So basically they will look at it if it does go over the engineer's estimate and figure out if it's a balanced or unbalanced bid and whether to award it or not.
All right, any other questions?
I'll move approval.
I'll second. Motion by DeWitt, second by Radig. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes 4-0. Thank you, Ben. Item 10 from Board Administration, approval of resolution fixing December 20th, 2022 at 4:35 PM for a public hearing on the proposal to amend the lease agreement with the Woodbury County Law Enforcement Center Authority. I'll move that.
Second.
Motion by Radig, second by DeWitt. Any discussion? Dennis, you probably want to speak on that, right? Just for public information.
Yeah, this was actually moving the expense of the furniture, fixture, and equipment to the county level where we will pay for it, but we will retain ownership of that property out at the Justice Center, Law Enforcement Center. This is just making it clear that is what's gonna happen. We pay for it, and Kenny's working on potentially getting bids, but he's working on their deal with procurement items, so we'll save money, so this is a good thing. And we will have it on the agenda for the public hearing next week. I'll send out section 8.3 to all the supervisors to look at, the county attorney's office, and Jason Comiskey, who's the authority's representative for attorney, have all approved it. County attorney recommended about 2 or 3 items changed. He changed them, and it's all to the good. Authority did pass it yesterday. They'll have the hearing next Tuesday prior to us. They'll pass it, sign it, and we'll bring it down to you guys to pass it and sign it.
What do you got there, Kenny?
I just want to clarify one thing that Dennis mentioned there. I'm not sure we will be going out on a bid process for the procurement. I believe, and not been able to confirm yet, but I believe we may be able to use the state contracts. Everything I read formulates to the point where that was the actual intent of the state. And I found language, and I'm not an attorney, but I found the language that it appears that since the state has already bid these contracts and specified the equipment that falls under those contracts.
And you are correct there, Kenny, and yeah, thanks for the follow-up there, Dennis, but yeah, that is right. We're gonna use state contracts for procurement and purchase, so, or at least that's the intention that we discussed
Yeah,
about
thank
2
you.
weeks ago, so. All right, so we had a motion and a second, motion by Raddick, second by DeWitt. Anybody else with a question? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes 4-0. Moving on to item 11 from Building Services. Authorize reauthorization of unallocated CIP, finding of $315 towards a maintenance storage building at the new LEC.
Kenny Schmidt's Building Services. Our CIP 5-year budgets have around $350,000 of unallocated funds that have already been borrowed for. I would like to have the board reauthorize that money towards building a maintenance storage facility out at the new LEC. Some might ask, well, why wasn't that planned on before? It was discussed, and we did consider doing plans for that initially. It was one of those items that was removed to save costs. we are going to need a place to store things like skid steers, snow blowers, lawn mowers, the equipment, the trailers that we use to transport some of this equipment from facility to facility. It's not practical to leave this equipment sitting outside. So I wanted to ask the board if they would reallocate those CIP funds.
So just to clarify something you said versus something on the agenda, you said 350,000, the item says 315.
315,000, I'm sorry.
Okay. No, I just, anyone paying attention or listening and just
Yes.
wanted to clear it up. I'll go ahead and move it. Motion by Raddick, second by Ong. I guess discussion-wise, I've known this on the radar, we discussed it way back in the original plans and specs, and it was something that was removed, and we discussed we'd probably fund it when we had funds available, and I think we have funds available now, so it makes sense to get it going and have it built around the same time. So unless anyone else had something else to add. All right. So we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. And item 12, reports on committee meetings.
Mr. Ung, do you plan on being at the IT meeting tomorrow? Yes. Okay, I do too, so.
Just directed at you.
Yes,
Thank you.
but I did have other things. Were you,
But which?
were you done?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was almost on to the next question, but go ahead.
Okay. I did attend a meeting on the progress for the county website with Neapolitan Labs. They presented a couple templates. We kind of narrowed things down with Dan Priestley and John Malloy, and I think it's been a good process. There'll be a firmer rollout meeting scheduled for December 21st, I'll be at, and then following that, there'll be a implementation schedule and meeting with department directors and office holders as far as what they want specifically uploaded on there, but it's going to have a lot more functionable quick links on the homepage, which I think is helpful to have people get to where they need to go, obviously quicker, and just have a more modern design. And I'm most excited about being able to search the agendas and minutes in a way that makes more sense, and also have it be more accessible as far as accessing them for the public, as well as the recordings of the meetings and the documents behind it, and subscribing to updates from specific committees or the board meetings in general or everything, and getting those generated by the board office in a kind of a one-stop shop email system instead of sending a lot of different attachments. So more things will be hosted on the website, and I think that'll be a very good improvement.
Will Grant Township have its own link to the chairman? And
This brings us to another committee report I have.
Good.
Present it with a heavy heart, gentlemen. But in the last general election, a couple write-in votes did result in the election of the bare minimum of 2 trustees for Grant Township. Chase Benson and Derek Kolbaum will be taking over for the Board of Supervisors next calendar year. They will be tasked with appointing a 3rd trustee and then a clerk for the following year that we all hope shows up to meetings. With that, there'll of course be a transfer of power ceremony. I believe Dennis, we have a few $100,000 in gaming. We can afford to do this right.
Which will probably rival the governor's inaugural ball.
This is a solemn occasion, but I want you gentlemen to know that the work we've done echoes in eternity, and brings to mind
It just felt
this-
like an eternity.
this excerpt from J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Townships. It reads, "They have passed like rain on the mountains, like wind in the meadow. The days have gone down in the west, behind the hills, into shadow. How did it come to this?" So, gentlemen, thank you for your timeless service, and the work we've done will. Yes, right? Yes. Very good. Thank you, and to all, a good night.
I guess I'm not really, yeah, I think that, I'm not really sorry that I let you go over your 3-minute limit.
We do have contact info for the 2 trustees that we can share with anyone requesting for next year.
All right, citizen concern round 2. Board concerns. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to provide an update. I'd talked about the process to replace Supervisor DeWitt when he moves on, and I still don't know when that's going to occur, but I'm going to probably try to schedule a meeting for January 9th and proceed from there. There are 3 people that will be on that committee, and that's the treasurer, myself, and the county attorney at that time. And I just wanted to update, I had originally contacted Dave Drew. He said that he was interested, and now he has withdrawn. I just wanted to give an update that I have been contacted by 8 people. Nathan Heilman, Angela Kale, John Von Baldig, Mark Nelson, Willard B. McNaughton, Barb Sloniker, Jeanette Beekman, and Charles Clark. So if Supervisor DeWitt doesn't give us a letter of resignation by that time, January 9th, that committee will hold a meeting and declare a vacancy if we don't have that letter of resignation by that time. So that's where we're at. Thank you.
All right. Any board concerns?
The swearing in, can we talk about the timing for the swearing in ceremony? I believe we have a date of December 29 because court officials are not available on the 30th.
I thought we were doing it on the 3rd.
That's correct, Karen, right?
It's due to the 2nd being a holiday declared by the county, but it's not a federal holiday, so that would normally be the day we would do it, but since we won't be here, and we'd have to call in a judge, basically, so we might as well do it when a judge is here. So I believe that's December 29th.
I think Iowa code says we have to wait till the first day in January that is not a holiday.
No. ISAC, they have an article out that recommends that you get sworn in on the 30th. You can
Oh, okay.
swear in.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't bother me either way.
It'll obviously be effective on the term date, but
Right.
start date, so I think we're just waiting to hear back from court administration on a time that works on the 29th, so just so everyone's aware of that. And then for the first organizational meeting and for future Tuesday meetings during budget season, I think it would be helpful to start an hour earlier. I think that would alleviate a little, maybe an hour or 2 in some weeks for the overtime for security, and I think everyone can make that time. So I wanted to request that, at least for the first Tuesday, start at 3:30. And then if we do have Supervisor DeWitt with us that first week, it would make sense to try and knock out some more budget items if we can schedule something. I know Chairman Raddick is available Wednesdays and Thursdays, so Thursday to me makes the most sense, and perhaps a meeting after lunch, so we don't have to break like 1 PM on Thursday. So I just want to throw that out there for the fellow supervisors, hoping that works for us for the first week, Thursday, 1 PM.
This will be the third, starting at 3:30 and going late.
Yeah.
And then on the 5th, starting at 1, going till what, 5 you were thinking?
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan. Dennis, do you know what we have then for that itinerary?
Now that I know what the time limits are, I will be calling tomorrow, so.
Okay.
Keith, I've tentatively got the boardroom carpet replacement down here on the lower level for the 4th, 5th, and 6th.
That's right,
So those meetings may have to be held upstairs.
Yep.
which I think we could do,
Yeah. So
just with not as good of a sound system. So I guess, can we schedule that accordingly then for information that we can see? Like, you know, things that,
I'll have by next Tuesday.
okay,
I don't know, we just got this set up for budget.
I'll reschedule if it's a problem.
Okay.
We'll figure something out.
I'd, yeah, prefer that we do that down here, all the budget hearings.
Okay.
sorry, Kenny.
yeah, I don't mind if they're doing carpet around us, I guess, as long as. All right.
That's what
so-
the microphones are for.
That's right. All right, so anything else from the board? All right, we're adjourned.